As Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands continue their struggle in the aftermath of Hurricanes Irma and Maria, leaving many without electricity, running water, and fuel to keep generators going, we begin today by taking you back to September 29th, when Donald Trump made a promise.
We will not rest, however, until the people of Puerto Rico are safe. These are great people.
The storms killed at least 45 people on Puerto Rico alone, but yesterday, President Trump went on the attack via Twitter. In 3 successive tweets, Trump blamed Puerto Rico's leadership, referring to a financial crisis largely, and I'm quoting, of their own making, then adds that electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes. We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and the first responders who have been amazing in Puerto Rico forever. Condemnation was swift, with San Juan's Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz saying the president's tweet added insult to injury, referring to the incident he tossed towels to hurricane victims when he visited earlier this month. Cruz responded to Mr. Trump via a text message to U.S. Congressman Luis Gutierrez. Cruz wrote that while you are amusing yourself throwing paper towels at us, your compatriots and the world are sending love and help. She asked the UN, among others, to stop what she called the genocide that will result from the lack of appropriate action of a president that just does not get it. Representative Gutierrez furiously demanded why people aren't being evacuated to the U.S. mainland.
My friends who stand in line for hours for food if they can find it. My constituents worried about their family members, and 5 million Puerto Ricans in the diaspora have run out of patience. We want our people free to live in the United States of America wherever they can. Mr. Speaker, my constituents want the government to help get their families out of danger's way.
Now, Speaker Ryan is heading to Puerto Rico today with a bipartisan delegation, but they won't see the pitch-black nighttime conditions that island residents are dealing with right now. The House late yesterday passed a $36.5 billion disaster relief bill that includes money for both Puerto Rico and the United States Virgin Islands. FEMA tweeted that it isn't going anywhere, but while the White House Chief of Staff had some reassuring words, he says the president is right.
This country, our country, will stand with those American citizens in Puerto Rico until the job is done. But the tweet about FEMA and DOD, read military, is exactly accurate. They're not going to be there forever. And the whole point is to start to work yourself out of a job and then transition to the rebuilding process.
Now, joining us now via Skype from Boston is Julio Ricardo Varela, co-host of In the Think and founder of Latino Rebels. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. So, you know, if you look at what we saw by the president's chief of staff yesterday in the White House briefing room and compare that to the president's tweet himself, it sounds like we're hearing two very, very different things. I would guess that most of the American public understands that FEMA and the U.S. military are not going to be in Puerto Rico, Texas, or Florida forever. But there's a stark contrast, and what we heard from the chief of staff is not what the president said. At least that's my feeling about it. What's your take?
I just want to thank the president for making me feel extra colonial the last 24 hours, because he's done an amazing job reminding every Puerto Rican how second-class citizens they are. It's really interesting. The president of the United States has yet, and you can look at the transcripts, he has yet to say that Puerto Ricans are American citizens. It's always John Kelly, it's always Mike Pence, or even Melania Trump. But when President Trump has never said in the last 3 weeks during this entire debacle that Puerto Ricans are American citizens. So it just goes to show you that those tweets, the fact that this is all Puerto Rico is making, is just not accurate. First of all, it's just insulting, but it's just not true. The United States is just as at fault being the colonizer for this financial mess. You know, this is not just Puerto Rico's political class, and I am very critical of Puerto Rico's political class as well. Yes, Puerto Rico has problems, but it also has an accomplice, and that accomplice is the United States of America. So for President Trump to tweet the fact that this is all Puerto Rico's fault is just beyond comprehension. You
well,
guys,
it's frankly, it seems evil to me. I mean, first of all, how does the financial crisis in any way whatsoever, how do you connect the financial crisis in Puerto Rico to the fact that that the island has virtually been completely destroyed by the hurricane? There's no connection, and you know, and I used to wonder if the president realizes that people in Puerto Rico are American citizens, and now it is beginning to really feel that he realizes that they're American citizens, but they are brown, people speak Spanish, and it seems intentional. Does it feel intentional to you?
It totally feels intentional. A couple of things about that financial crisis that people need to understand. Austerity that was caused by a bipartisan legislation that, to be honest with you, was President Obama and the Republicans, that has led to no money in Puerto Rico. So the fact that all these mayors, they don't have money to prepare for hurricanes. So yes, the financial crisis has directly impacted it, but let's not pretend that this is all Puerto Rico's fault. And for President Trump to say that it is that whole feeling of like, you don't belong here, you're not good enough, we're the colonizer, you're the colony. He might as well just become this early 20th century colonial governor and come in and say, like, if it wasn't for us, the United States, we wouldn't be able, you poor backwards people wouldn't have anything. And that's the part that no one's really kind of diving deep into, and it's just incredibly insulting.
Yeah, the mayor of San Juan has been incredibly well-spoken on this issue and explaining to the American public exactly what she believes Donald Trump stands for. You are doing the same. We want to thank you for everything that you're doing, and we are all praying for Puerto Rico and hoping that Puerto Rico gets all of the help it needs and is treated as an equal citizen with all of the people in Texas and in Florida as well. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.